Aloha, good morning. My name is Jürgen Steinmetz, joining you from livestream.travel, reporting this morning for eTurbo News. And with me is Natasha Caputo, and she is the Director of Tourism from Westchester County, I believe, in New York. And welcome, Natasha. How are you?
Thank you. I'm good. How are you? It is a pleasure to join you today on this show, and thank you for having me and the opportunity to talk about Westchester County in the Hudson Valley here in New York.
Perfect. And I would love to hear more, and I think so our audience. I have to say, being in Hawaii on the other end of our great country, it is, we don't know much. Everyone knows New York City, of course, and that's one of my favorite cities. And I know a place called Trenton, New Jersey, outside from New York. I was there as an exchange student many years ago, but I don't know where's Westchester County and what is it all about?
I think that's a great place for us to start. So Westchester County borders New York City. We are at the heart of the Hudson Valley region here in New York State. Westchester County is surrounded by two bodies of water. We have the beautiful and mighty Hudson River on one side and the gorgeous Long Island Sound, the Sound Shore, what we call, across from Long Island on our other side. The county is comprised of major cities and some very beautiful vistas. Right behind me, you'll see one of our waterways here, the reservoir. We have a lot of activity from our arts and cultural community. We have active and working farmland. We have beautiful international world-class museums and music venues like Caramore, which host jazz events in the summer. I had to stop myself because not this year, but we are ready and poised and ready to welcome our visitors, sometime soon. We are also only about 45 minutes, believe it or not, from JFK International Airport, less than 40 minutes from LaGuardia. We're convenient, we're close to New York Stewart International Airport. And here in Westchester, we have our own regional airport, Westchester County Airport. So we are a very convenient spot outside of New York City with a lot of value. We have over 40 hotels, 6,700 room nights. Many of our properties are overlooking the Hudson River or the Sound Shore with beautiful vistas. And again, they're full service and includes luxury. We are home to the Castle Hotel and Spa. We just have a new opening in COVID called the Abbey Inn and Spa in Peekskill, which is one of our, the northern tip of the river towns, historic river towns that we call. I also want to add our convenient spot to New York City. Out of Grand Central Terminal, we have over 42 different Metro North spots. So we make for an excellent, just a back and forth ease when traveling, not only for our domestic visitors, but our international visitors as well.
And now in COVID age, of course, people are talking a lot about domestic and regional tourism. Some people think it's safer to get in the car or maybe even get on the train to go places. This would be an ideal situation. Are you guys already accepting tourists back, or you're still closed and lockdown? How's the situation?
Well, New York, overall New York State is now, I think we're, the lowest number, second to the lowest state numbers here. And in Westchester County, we've taken every safety measure, and public safety is our number one for sure. We've launched our Westchester with Care program. Now, it is a safety pledge, but it's even more than that. It's a platform that we've introduced, and we plan to and continue through the future, because I think that this is something all top of mind for all. From visitor standpoint, we are definitely see our short, quick turnaround visitors coming into our hotel properties, where it might be from NYC, New York City, or other spots of the area here in New York State. So the flow of welcoming our folks throughout New York State, that kind of hyper local visitation is happening. And certainly, as I mentioned, our waterways and our hike and bike trails. We run from an amateur to an enthusiast as far as hiking and biking. We saw a lot of activity with kayaking and sailing. So there's a lot of opportunity for the social distancing, the safe, and also having these, I call them the vistas, or these kind of big reflective places, so we can all just enjoy a little bit of outside time.
Yeah, I know, of course, you're very different from what many people think New York is about, Manhattan. And we all heard about the situation in Manhattan when COVID started. It was scary. And then there's a wave what kind of hit everyone, including us here in Hawaii. And how's the situation now? You hear a lot of feedback that your part of the country is kind of getting back to a sense of normalcy. Is this true?
Well, I think we're all working with the new normal. And
Right.
I think that we're also all taking it as, I say, day by day, and being responsible. So our restaurants have been very creative, or our areas throughout Westchester County. And we have big cities. I always say we're the urban and suburban in that sense, in our big cities, with having outdoor dining and setting that up for the restaurants, doing our retailers, and having shops out. So we are open. And part of, I mentioned Westchester with Care, part of, and one of the goals is, as this evolves, is highlighting our local business. I mean, much of travel and tourism are small business, and highlighting how they're opening their doors and being creative and innovative in this new normal is important to communicate. So it's a slow and steady approach here in Westchester County, and as with all of our tourism partners.
Now, when you when you're located, for instance, here where I'm at in Hawaii, if you go to a restaurant, and the restaurant just opened literally just about a week, 2 weeks ago, and we have a tier system, so it goes down from the worst to the best. We're now in the second worst, what is an improvement because we were in the worst. But for instance, if you really wanted to go to a restaurant, you have to sign in, give your name, so it's traceable. Are there similar type of regulations in New York?
Well, I think there's similar types of protocols. Each one of our tourism partners and our hoteliers have affirmed and have created and following the New York State forward guidelines on the reopening. The state had reopening phases, and and they've had to follow those steps. And part of Westchester with Care is, pledging that they have done their due diligence and have come up with their safety measures and those safety guidelines in place. There is contact tracing here in many spots also. Many of our restaurants are really focused more on the kind of outdoor dining. We have a limit of 50 people gatherings in our properties, but you'll see that there's been a lot of innovative creating pods outside. As I mentioned, a lot of our hotels and our properties have big space, so which is to our benefit, because you're able then to space that out and offer everyone a very memorable experience.
And you have a lot of, from what I can sense, a lot of outdoor activities in Westchester. What really is nice to get if I was living in a city like New York, Manhattan, it's probably would be quite a relief to go to Westchester and enjoy open spaces. Is that kind of the feeling you're getting?
That and that is exactly, thank you. That is exactly it. We have the open spaces and the ability to, and I say a safe social distance experience. I mean, I will share with you, we have the only wolf conservation group, institution here in the northern part of Westchester. It is the wolf conservation. It is the only one here in North America. Oh, I just dropped somebody. That takes place. We have an alpaca farm, we have hiking, we have biking, and again, from the amateur to the enthusiast, we have bike rentals along the Hudson River. You can rent kayaking, you could take cruises and see the beautiful, in this temperature, we have foliage change, right? All of our, the beautiful, the colors, seeing that. And we anticipate, we have events that are going to be taking place in the winter time. We have Winter Wonderland. We have outdoor activities at our historic homes. So it's really just trying to build out based on what we can do. Again, it's all about following those safety guidelines that have been put in place.
And when you look at the new information circulated around the world from Brand USA about the diversity of our tourism industry in the United States, Westchester definitely would be in tandem with anyone once we become go back to normal and we open our borders, for example, also for European tourists to explore Westchester after a city stay in New York. Is that kind of the when you look at international tourism, the tourism you had or you envision?
Oh, we welcome, absolutely. And we do envision that getting back to that. As I said, our close proximity to the international airports makes us a great, a great spot to visit. And I will say, for the first time here, the Michelin Guide had included some Westchester County restaurants where we have the acclaimed, the culinary experience. It's a very intimate experience with our chefs, whether it might be, a Dave DeBarry or a Jean George, who has restaurants in the city, but it's just a very different feeling and a much more intimate dining experience here. Our farm to table has growing. I feel like we're at a pause and we're open, but that as a destination, we definitely don't lack the travel product for our guests to enjoy here.
And this, your program, Westchester with Care, you sent us a press release back, I think, the end of September. And you're saying that all participants in this program have to do an online pledge on your website to follow certain guidelines. How does it work, and how now it's a month later, so it's maybe a good way to talk about how is this program going for you?
It's going great. We have over 110 participants across really all the various business industry segments, where it's hoteliers from restaurants to retailers to smaller mom and pops. We did even open it up to be very inclusive for local community, because it's a way just to get a better understanding and have that network of following what are the CDC, New York State Department, health guidelines and cleanings and best practices. So if you go to visit westchesterny.com/Westchester with Care, you'll see our pledge form. And then we've created toolkits, because how do we communicate and having that inclusivity that as a whole, the county and a destination for residents and visitors, we take into account the well-being and the safety of all of our guests. And we're going to grow on it. We've just had a video production team talking to some of the businesses, what are some of the creative things that they are maybe doing from safety. You mentioned, contact tracing and keeping less, temperature takes, communicating with their employees on a daily basis of what's happening. And that has worked. That's been a real positive for us, for sure.
Wonderful. Now, let me ask you, your your organization is called Westchester County Tourism and Film. What's the film part? I'm just curious.
Well, tourism and film go hand in hand. We are one of the busiest county outside of the New York City area for filming. We do over $30 million of economic impact for all our local municipalities.
Wow.
So the other hat I wear is running. We permit county-owned properties, where it might be our jail, our parks, a morgue, and then facilitate with all our municipalities and our tourism partners on how to be film friendly. And I'll give you a great example of being creative in COVID is our hotel with bigger ballrooms have qualified their space to be a qualified production facility. Here, it's the Westchester Marriott. So we're not seeing these big events, but if you have the space and you can convert a ballroom into anything and convert that into a set or being, a production facility, that's a way of business. We have resumed filming. There's also another strict set of guidelines that take place into that. But really having the episodic, the movies shot here and showing our backdrop, because we are very diverse. The four corners of Westchester, I mentioned we have big cities. We have our river towns, we have the Sound Shore, and then the northern part of Westchester has a very rich history and equestrian. We are home to the golf. We just hosted with no spectators, but we were home to the USGA US Open here in September at Wingfoot. We will just announce that in June, big events happen here, and our broadcast in June, we will be home to the Kennel Club Westminster Dog Show that usually takes place at the Garden. We will be home to that here in Westchester County next June. So filming and seeing Westchester County in the backdrop is a key. It's a good driver. It's like, where is that spot? Where is this beautiful place? Where is that, that restaurant and that chef or that hotelier and that's, in that area. We have a lot of smaller towns that have our all Americana, picturesque, that's been very popular. And we also are home to many art houses. We're home to the Jacob Burns Film Center in Pleasantville. That is, it's one of our leading art houses in the country, the Pelham Picture House. So it's a good tie-in for us for sure.
And it's very interesting. I know those of you that are part of our Rebuilding.Travel network, we had recent discussion on how to enhance tourism and film. The film industry is definitely and has an enormous impact and could be promoted throughout the crisis. And it looks like your area is leading in this. If anyone wanted to get advice from you, what would be your advice for anyone in the world who wanted to add the film industry to their tourism industry? How would you get this started?
We started, just really asking questions of the industry and of what their needs are and how we could be more accommodating. And we really did learn the business from a sense of, what is it that you need? Understanding and talking that language is important. It's similar to an event load in, but it's not in that sense. And a lot of the business we do is episodic, which is a very quick turnaround and being nimble in order to address the needs. And more so now in this circumstance, in this business landscape we're working on is really important. We are a resource for the industry. If there's an idea, a spot, and you go on to our visit westchesterny.com film section, we've created image galleries, FAQs. We have a whole GIS mapping about where you may want to be and where you need to be close proximity to certain areas. We have great relationships with all of our municipalities, our towns, our villages to understand what their capacity is and capability. The worst is to bring in a production and then not being able to help that production succeed. And we've been growing. As I said, we are the busiest outside. Our close proximity to New York City works. There's a ton of filming there. We have great relationships with the city, as well as some of our neighboring counties. But we were home to The Post. We were home to many films. You can see them all. We have great active blogs on our website and talking to location scouts and some of the talent that's been here.
And your website, from what I understand, it's called Visit WestchesterNY, all spelled together.com. And
yes.
We're going to also put this in our article so people can actually take a look. And when I'm looking at your website, something comes up right away, and I find this interesting. It says comfortable and stay a while. I know we have been discussing also on Rebuilding.Travel long-term stays, and this was a big discussion. It is a big discussion in many destinations. Barbados, I think, started with this, where they issued visas for people to stay more than a month if they wanted to work. We in Hawaii have been trying to do the same during the quarantine requirement, what was just lifted for our state. Is this something you guys are looking at, want people to stay and work from maybe more pleasant and beautiful surrounding?
Right. Well, we are for sure thinking of all that creativity. And there's also, for the folks that have many families may need a different setting for the remote schooling and the remote learning. And that's been something we look at in offsite. We have higher educations. We have students who will go and stay at one of our properties to study. It really is about being creative on how we're kind of working through this. I will say that a lot of what we're seeing is the weekends where we're so, you're talking about driving. We're very accessible by driving and close by, 90 minutes, 90 miles to 250 miles getaway. We're an easy getaway to that. And we've seen a lot of weekend stay for a while here, whether it's our luxury, smaller B&Bs, even to the full service hotels.
And maybe one more thing what I noticed when I went to your website, and when you go to westchesterny.com, on the right side there you have a survey and a questionnaire you're asking web visitors to respond to. And I went through this, and it looks like it really provides some interesting data for an organization like you from the visitors. And many, of course, of our listeners are travel professionals. They may be in charge of a different tourism board. So I'm just wondering, how is this working for you? What kind of data are you gathering? Because they didn't ask me for my email necessarily. I could do this on a volunteer basis, but you're getting data why someone would want to come to Westchester, what their plans are, when they're coming. Sure. Is this data used for planning purposes, or how do you take advantage of it?
Well, we're taking advantage of it by looking at the data and then building new content out. We're taking this as an opportunity. Every crisis has an opportunity, and really we saw an increase into our website. Are we serving our visitors and, you know, our guests that are coming and inquiring information? And if you'll see, we've started to build out more on the content side of the website and some new content. You know, we did, perfect example, during the summer, we did a top list of the best ice cream shops to go visit. And we've had folks go on our social media, Instagram, Westchester County Tourism on Instagram and on Facebook and on Twitter, you know, saying, I visited, you know, 4 out of the 10 or 3 out of the 10. And that was a way of engaging even our locals. We all, you know, are looking for something that's familiar and good and something kind of to do. So we've been doing that. We've done a lot with our African-American heritage trails. We've also, our farm trail, things that again have the ability for social distancing, safety, and an activity to take place.
Wonderful. I think you gave us a lot of information. Is there anything else you wanted to say or wanted to make sure we cover?
No, I just want to say thank you. This is a good opportunity. You know, my passion is travel and tourism, and we'll be back. It's just, you know, working with you and networking and just talking about what works and what doesn't work as we all get through this together is really important for the industry.
Yeah, we're all in this together, as we always say.
I know it's so cliche, but it's so true in this instance, right? I mean, it really is. We're resilient, and you know, it's heartbreaking to see what's happening. And I think if you know, being creative, and you know, we talked about building content and just finding new ways, you know, of communicating, and top of mind, we're all going to want to travel soon and as safe as possible. And, you know, we are here and ready in Westchester County. We have, I mentioned one hotel, we had another Spring Hill Suite. So we have openings, we have event announcements. So, and that is something that's great to look forward to.
No, I agree with you. Thank you very much. And I hope we talk to you again soon.
Absolutely. And thank you again for having, this was a real pleasure.
And please stay safe, and enjoy the nature. I love the pictures on your website.
You need to visit.
I will. It's on my bucket list now. Take care. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.